There was a time when distraction felt innocent. A radio playing in the corner, a newspaper left open on the kitchen table, a passing billboard on the edge of town. But today, distraction does not arrive by accident. It is engineered, measured, refined, delivered with precision. And most people never stop to ask a dangerous question. What happens to a human being when their attention no longer belongs to them? Because attention is not a small thing, attention is your life. And if your attention is constantly being pulled, interrupted, fragmented, and fed back to you in broken pieces, then little by little, your mind stops feeling like home. Hello and welcome to the Sovereign Frequency channel. I'm glad you're here. In this video, we're exploring a truth that hides in plain sight, that modern life is not just competing for your time, it is competing for your focus, your inner silence, your mental clarity, and ultimately, your sovereignty. Because the person who controls their attention begins to control their reality. And the person who loses it can be led almost anywhere. Picture an ordinary man in an ordinary town. He wakes before sunrise. Soft, golden light slips through the blinds. The coffee percolates. The house is quiet. For a moment, his mind is his own. But then the day begins. A headline, a notification, a vibration in his pocket, a glowing screen before his feet even touch the floor. Before he has fully returned to himself, something external has already entered the room and made a claim on his awareness. This is how it happens now. Not with force, not with chains, not with obvious oppression, but with interruption. Tiny fragments, tiny hooks, tiny diversions. Each one seems harmless, but together they create a life where your mind is never fully where your body is. You are eating, but thinking about the phone. Listening, but also scanning. Working, but reaching for stimulation every few minutes. Resting, but unable to settle. And because this fragmentation has become normal, most people do not experience it as theft. They experience it as life. That is what makes it so effective. The most powerful systems are the ones people mistake for reality. Most people think attention is just a productivity issue, a work issue, a concentration issue, a stop procrastinating issue. But attention is far deeper than that. Attention determines what enters your inner world, and what enters your inner world begins shaping who you become. What you repeatedly look at, you reinforce. What you repeatedly consume, you normalize. What repeatedly interrupts you begins training your nervous system to expect interruption. Attention is not just about what you do, it is about what you become available to. A distracted person is not merely unfocused. A distracted person is easier to influence, easier to manipulate, easier to emotionally steer, easier to keep reactive, because deep attention creates depth of thought, and depth of thought creates independence. But shallow, fractured attention creates something else, suggestibility. This is why the battle for your attention is not trivial. It is spiritual, psychological, civilizational. Because once a person loses the ability to hold their own mind steady, they become dependent on external signals to tell them what matters, what to fear, what to want, what to buy, what to admire, what to outrage themselves over next. And a person who lives in constant reaction is no longer living from inner authority. they are being moved. The modern world does not reward stillness. It rewards stimulation. It rewards urgency, novelty, emotional spikes, constant updates, infinite scroll, endless input. Why? Because a calm, centered human being is hard to monetize. A person who can sit quietly with themselves, who does not need constant distraction, who thinks before reacting, who chooses deliberately, is far less profitable than a person trained to click, consume, compare, chase, and repeat. So the system learns your impulses, it studies your patterns, it notices what keeps you watching, what triggers curiosity, what triggers envy, what triggers anger, what triggers longing. And then it builds a digital environment designed not to serve your highest self, but to keep your attention in circulation. That is the real product now. Not the app, not the platform, not the content. You, your gaze, your nervous system, your repeated return. And because the process is dressed up as entertainment, information, convenience, and connection, most people never realize they have entered an environment built to erode their self-possession. They think they are choosing, but often they are being conditioned, quietly, daily, mechanically. There is a cost to all of this that goes beyond lost time. Constant distraction weakens your relationship with yourself because self-trust is built in silence. Clarity is built in silence. Discernment is built in silence. The ability to hear your own deeper knowing requires space. But when every empty moment is filled, when every pause is patched over, when every flicker of boredom is medicated with stimulation, you begin to lose contact with your own interior life. And that loss is subtle. You may still function, still work, still smile, still move through the routines of adulthood, but underneath it all, something essential begins to dim. Your thoughts become noisier, your intuition becomes harder to hear, your will becomes weaker, your attention span shortens, your capacity for contemplation starts to collapse. And then one day, without fully knowing why, you feel strangely absent from your own life, present in body, missing in spirit. That is the hidden tragedy of attention theft. It doesn't just take your focus, it takes your depth. Imagine every man sitting alone in his car after a long day. The parking lot is nearly empty. The neon sign of a diner flickers in the distance. Evening rain taps lightly against the windshield. For once, he does not reach for the phone, he just sits there. And in that simple silence, he notices something unsettling. He cannot remember the last time his mind felt still, not truly still, not waiting for something, not checking for something, not pulled toward something, just still. And he begins to understand that what was taken from him was not merely time, it was presence. The texture of his own life, the ability to inhabit a moment without needing it to be filled, the dignity of unbroken thought, the strength of directed awareness. And once he sees that, he can no longer unsee it, because awareness changes the game. The moment you notice the mechanism, you stop being completely owned by it. So what do? You begin by seeing attention for what it really is, a form of life force, and you stop spending it as casually as the world taught you to. You become more selective, more deliberate. You notice what scatters you, what drains you, what hooks you, what leaves your mind feeling weaker after contact. And then you begin the quiet work of reclaiming territory. Not through punishment, not through rigid perfection, not through some dramatic performance of self-control, but through conscious refusal. Refusal to be interrupted every minute. Refusal to feed every impulse. Refusal to let algorithms train your mind into dependency. Refusal to treat your awareness like public property. This is where self-mastery begins, not in intensity, in remembrance. The remembrance that your attention is sacred, that where it goes, your energy follows, and where your energy goes, your life begins taking shape. A sovereign life is not built by accident. It is built by learning to hold your own mind in a world designed to fracture it. Most people will continue living in fragments, pulled in 10 directions, reacting more than choosing, consuming more than contemplating. And because it is common, they will call it normal. But normal is not the same as healthy, and common is not the same as free. The truth is simple. If you do not guard your attention, something else will claim it. And whatever claims your attention long enough begins shaping your identity. So protect it. Not because focus makes you more efficient, but because attention is power. Attention is authorship. Attention is sovereignty. And in an age of endless distraction, the ability to direct your own awareness may be one of the last real forms of freedom left. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the Sovereign Frequency channel. This channel is for those who want to think clearly, live consciously, and reclaim authority over their own minds. And remember, where your attention goes, your life follows. I'll see you in the next transmission.